Right, so we have Sketchbook Pro, and the first thing that you need to do is to look at the canvas size. So the canvas size of the renders and the images was 4,200 pixels by 1,909 pixels. I've made it a bit bigger for the purpose of having a border around it, so we can do things with the border if we want to test things. I'm also going to import a photograph as reference, the original photograph we used. So make sure that's a good size for your canvas. Now go up to here and we're going to start importing images. So we go to File and Add Image. Make sure there's quite a few layers selected, gives you a bit of play. So I'm going to go to layer 4, okay, and I'm going to add image and go to the folder where you want to, where your source images are from, and click on, and I'm going to click on 02 backs. This is the back render, the render for the background, and I'm going to position it about here. And then I'm going to select the next layer up, and then I'm going to, and I will add now a sneaky layer that I did, which is called Wireframe. And I did this layer, I rendered this layer after the tutorial. Right, and just move that into place. Like so. Okay, so then I'm going to take that to the multiply level options, and what you'll see is a nice effect that comes in. Gives a really sort of cool digital, almost retro 1990s feel, yeah? Okay, and then I'm going to take the view of this layer off for now, go up to layer 6, add image, street furniture 2, okay. Position the layer so it's in the right place. All right. And then we can do the layer options like so with multiply, so we can see the background if we want to. Just wait for that to kick in. Taking a while because the images are so big. Oh well, we'll leave that for now, but oh, still doing something. Okay, anyway, so we'll take the opacity down here. So that's immediately giving a really nice effect here. We can add the wireframe, and that's looking nice as well. Again, take the wireframe to multiply, and immediately we can see this is a nice look. Yeah, it's quite designy, retro 90s feel. Add another layer. Add image. What image you're going to use now? We're going to go to the actual drawings that we just did, and I scanned the drawings in at 300 dpi. When you're scanning in, make sure the dpi is high. Yeah. So we're printing at 300 dpi. If you want, you can try and do it at higher dpi as well. Now I'm going to remember where I put them. Okay, it's here, so I'm going to import final 10. And as you can see, as if by magic, it's the right size. And remember these corners that we did when we were projecting? There's one here, you probably can't see that, one here, and one here. So these corners act as a guide for where to place it with the digital stuff. So I'll decrease the opacity there. My movement bar has gone off. You might panic if that happens, but all you do is you just go to select it all, and then it will come up again, as long as you're on that level, that layer, sorry, not level. So make sure that corner's aligned there. that corner's more or less there. This corner's slightly out. Sometimes that's due to distortions or, you know, rumples in the paper, whatever, or a slight rotate, okay? But we can adjust these later. So for now, just keep it there. And as you can see, all these lines are fairly closely lined up to the drawings. Take the opacity up. My graphics card's kicking in a lot now. You might be able to hear it. I'm going to take off some of the layers. Perhaps it'll give it a bit of a break. And on this layer, we're going to look at multiply. So immediately, look, it gives us the cool effect where you've got the black ink and most of the white areas are taken out. You might see a bit of fuzziness of the tracing paper. I mean, what I'm trying to say is not entirely see-through, but I like this. It gives quite an analog feel, you know. So that's all there. Let's have a look to see what it looks like with the wireframe. Oh well, that's a bit too much going on there. But later you'll see that that's going to be edited out well. So that's the one of the images. That's image 10, and I'm going to just add the other image, and that's final 11. Because remember, I chose two different final images to contrast and compare. I'll just take the bottom layer off and select this. Oh, I've made a mistake. Okay, so I'm going to press Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. I imported the other drawing into that layer. That's easily done. So make a new layer and then add image and go to final 11 again. And this time it's on a new layer. Take it to multiply. These are very slow because the file is very big, you see. So it's quite frustrating, actually. Come on. There we go. So it's on the multiply setting now, and it should go transparent in a minute. Okay, there we go. Excellent. And it's gone back to normal. Okay, it's gone back to multiply. So that's option 1 or 2, and that's option 2. So we can contrast and compare to see which one looks the nicest. I like some elements from this one. I like some elements from that one. The elements from this one are quite nice. There's sort of quite black acrylic lines here. The elements in this one are still quite energetic, so I've yet to decide, but I'll keep all of these layers in there for now. And then basically what I'm going to do now is start to edit the final image. We're going to have a lot of work to do. So some of this I'm going to edit with you and talk about it and talk about what I'm doing, and the image will start to take shape. But also I'm going to then take it to a time lapse, and you'll be able to see the whole process, because it will take a lot longer than, say, half an hour or an hour of speaking, and you'll see the whole process. So you'll get a bit of me speaking, and then after that you'll get the time-lapse sequence, and you'll see it all made with all the functions. And then that's really the end, and we'll just talk a bit about what to do at the end. One thing I'm just going to do now before the next installment is to increase the height of the canvas size, and then I'm going to import a reference photograph in here. So I'm going to get one more layer, add image, and I'm going, sometimes it's quite difficult to remember where the image is. It should be in here somewhere. It should be in here. Okay. Well, that's the original image, which is quite large, and I'm going to take it down a bit and crop it. So I'm going to put this reference image up here. All right. So that's a nice little reference image there, and I'm going to crop it like so. No, I'm not going to crop it. I'm just going to leave it like that. We can add other images. I'll add some drawings from the development. So where are the sketch composition development? There's nothing in there. Don't know why. So basically anyway, I can't find the sketches at the moment. Very embarrassing, but I might add some as I go. But the main thing is to get this image, because this has color references, and what we're going to do is we're going to use the drop tool to, the inkwell tool to get the colors we want into the final image. Okay, so importantly, I'm just going to save this. So save as, go to screencasts, first one, which is the one with the screencast with the whole tutorial that we're doing here. And I'm going to go to edit drawings for 2D, the relevant chapter, and then I'm going to call it NYC Abstract Gray 12. And I'll press save. Just give the save bar on it. And I'd also recommend backing it up on a USB drive as well, but I do, because if your computer fails or your C drive fails, you've got a backup. Okay, so that's it. So next I'm going to take you through the process of starting to edit with colors and things like that. So it's quite exciting, really. Okay, speak soon. Bye. Okay, so everything's set up. We've got the original photograph. One word about this is, in this project I'm a little bit worried about using the logos. I don't want to, get barred from actually selling it due to legal restrictions of some of these logos. So what I'm going to do is make the scene without these logos, but I'll probably make some alternative looking logos, perhaps made up ones, sort of futuristic ones. It might be quite fun, because a street has lots of signs, and the signs in a street are one of the most important things these days, with graphics. And this is a part of Times Square in New York, which is one of the main places in the world where there's so many moving graphics. So it is important to have this in, but at the same time I want to sell my product, so I'm not overly keen on using these logos. So that's why I'm not using so many logos. Right, so you might have seen my YouTube videos, if you've seen them, that I paint under the black line. Okay, and I'll just demonstrate this for you. So here's the layer with the black line, and I'm going to add a layer. Now that layer's on top now, so I just go to this icon here and just drag it so it's under it, yeah? And I'm quickly going to show you what I do. So I'm going to go to this color here on the photograph. I'm going to get up the color editor, because this has the ink dropper tool. Okay. Although, in this photograph this looks very yellowy, but it's not in the actual, when it's dragged to the color bar, it's not so good. So what I need to do is make it look a nice shiny color. And this shows you in the color puck what it is. It's very useful. Sort of a reddish orange look. It's a bit too orange. Take it back. Okay, so the color puck's there. Whoops, just made a mistake. Drag it back. take it back so it's quite nice again. Okay, that will do for now. And I drag this into the color swatch, so I've got a record of this if I want to use it again in the project. And zoom out. Make sure layer 10 selected. Choose the tool of your choice, such as brush. Let's see if it's going to work. Okay, that's quite small. Just Control Z to undo that. Go to the brush editor. Make it bigger. This brush is quite a hard edge, so I'm going to choose a brush down here that's a bit less hard. So I'm going to open up the brush panel. Let's try this one, because that's a bit more brushy. Yeah? It gives an effect of a brush. Now all I just do is just hold down left click on the mouse or on the tablet here, and I just start to paint as I would in real life. Like so. You know, and the paintbrush tool is giving a nice fluid feel. Of course we can change it to just a normal brush again. Just gives a conventional brush look there. You know, we just continue to paint in the areas under the black lines. As you can see, this television's got a nice yellow going around it. So again, within the black lines, I can paint around it. There's a bit of, you know, this television isn't in line with the lines, but I like that. I like that effect because it's, again, it's a bit like analog. It's not perfect. Many 3D graphics and 2D graphics images made today on the computer are too perfect, I think. I like a bit of mistakes. Yeah, it's quite rough. And that's also why I like doing the traditional drawings, because I don't think nothing beats making a real drawing. But at the same time, we can now scan the real drawing in and basically do what we're doing on this with this project. Just do this a bit again for you. Increase the brush size, take it up, block in these areas, and remember, as it's a 2D editing package, you can edit this as much as you like. The main thing I would give you a tip on is just put everything in layers. So either have all your colors on one layer or have your colors on different layers, but just make sure that you're not painting on, you know, the backgrounds, because then you can't really do anything except to import it again. Just block in this area as well with the lamp. Not the lamp, it's a screen, isn't it? Sometimes I'm not very, the way I name things is not very clear. But you know what I mean. Whoops. Undo that, it went out too much. Okay, so by holding left click on the mouse or on your tablet like here, we can block in color quite easily. Yeah, I'm going, what else should I do? I'll do, on the same layer, I'm going to get a red color. So I'm going to start experimenting with this red color here. So I get the color pick the red color. See, it's a burgundy. It's so strange, isn't it, how that happens. So I'll take it up so it's a bit more reddish. Get a bit more red. Yeah, that's quite a nice red. And here's the corresponding shape. So I'm going to have a play around with this. As you can see, it's really nice how you have the black lines that keep in sight because you've put the black line on multiply mode in the layer mode, and then you can see what goes on underneath. So I really like this process. It's really good. And as again, I'm not being overly precious to start with, just blocking in areas. Looking at the different color combinations, etc., etc. I think that's kind of a grey look here, so I'm going to get the color pick. Yeah, it's a bluey shark grey. Lift that up a bit. Take the size up quite big so it blocks in quickly, like so. Just block it in nicely there. I'm going to add another layer here. And of course, as you'll see in the time lapse, this is just the initial outlay. Make the road dark. So the initial work is just blocking in, and there's a lot of, to use that word again that I used earlier, is tweaking. You're going to have to tweak it a lot. And rather than taking you through the whole process, it could take 2 hours, it could take 1, it could take 3 or 4. I'm going to do a time lapse. But any comments or questions, please always ask me. I'm always delighted to hear. If I'm not busy, I try and get back about anything that I'm doing here. And sometimes it's nice to have a limited palette. For example, here is very dark. Here's a grey, so you could experiment with just having the grey instead of the black, like so. Just take down the size a bit. You could experiment with, having that as a dark screen. So it sort of corresponds like a comic, yeah? So I added a layer there, and I'm going to put a nice white color. White's sometimes nice to use, pure white, especially digitally, and we just go and have a mess around here. It makes quite a nice effect just to bring these round circles out that kind of represent movements. Oops. And again, at this stage, don't be too precious. And I'd recommend throughout the stage, don't be too precious. Just keep it fresh, keep the energy up. Sometimes if you make it too tight, too precious, it ruins it, yeah. And don't be afraid to start again. So there's some cool stuff going on here, yeah. Let's have a look. What do these look like? Oh, I don't know. Now, add a number. Sorry, I'm tripping over my words. Add another image. Go to render. The render output. Final render, which is here. And find the people. So this is quite a good people composition here. And add that into the scene. Move it in place. That's about right for now. We can always edit it later. The people are behind the black lines. See what it looks like if we take them above the black lines. Take it to multiply. They're quite dark now, the people. We'll have to look at that. We could experiment with taking it down. Okay, anyway, that can be edited later on. So, we've got all these interesting layers going on. And what I'm going to do is just basically start editing as I would in a normal drawing or painting. And I'm going to put the time lapse on and do quite a lot of work. And that's about it, really. And that's the end of most of the tutorials. And when the final edit is done, then I'll stop and talk about it and talk about how we can get it out to print work. Just check this layer, this alternative drawing. I mean, as you can see now, there's not really much. This line drawing, the alternative option is not really helping the scene. And this one is working a lot better. It's stronger, and some of the lines are all the same, but what I'll do is during the edit I'm going to black out some of these lines so they're thicker, so they look closer. Okay, I'm just going to delete this, and I'm going to try again on a new layer, because I think that's what was causing the problem. So I'm going to layer 13, ooh, unlucky, isn't it? And take it to people 1. So that's now in layer 13. And put that in place. Make it out as normal. Multiply. And again, it's doing this. So I'll have to look at that. And just remember I put in the wireframes. Okay, which looks quite nice. Take this off again. The wireframes. And as I edit this, what I'm going to do is rub out some of the wireframes at the top. Perhaps make this area here as well on another layer whiter. So the background's, less strong. This sort of thing going on. Focus in on areas, rub some of the black out, add the people on the top. Just go from there, and then that's it. So it should take 1 or 2 hours, and what you're going to see a time lapse now, and you'll see everything I do, and you can learn from that. And we'll talk a bit about at the end, as I say. Okay, well, I'll speak to you soon, and enjoy the time lapse.